Yes.
As we come through, and the first one on the list this time around is going to be Ashe, and I know Pretty Hair's over there, and he's been saying a lot of things about Ashe's ult, but this is going to be affecting her
What
health
is
bar.
Pretty Hair? No,
Yeah.
dude, Nick, that guy's crazy, man. Yes, so she has seen a change right now. Holistically looking at Ashe and when compared to other front lines, there was kind of an egregious outlier. So
yeah.
Ashe is a character, right, that has huge magnitude displacement movement, lots of disruptive CC, recently got some amplification on her ult too, and has a very confirmable weapon. Also, she has the highest base HP of all the front lines ever, on top of all those other attributes.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we're going to take her from 49 to 4,500 base HP, which puts her more in line of like, okay, I am not the most tankiest tank because I have all these other things.
Yeah.
Like Inara, right, is the literal rock who is like her fantasy, right, is like, I'm going to be on this point, put my little stone down, put walls up. You can't touch me. Get out of my space. Like, get off my lawn, kids. And she had less HP than Ashe does, right?
Yeah.
And Ashe is the one who's like diving and fragging and knocking people off and then like being unkillable while then you go into a big it's pretty crazy. She's also doing really well right now in all of the competitive scenes actually. So this is going to bring her a little more in line.
And that's going to be one of those things, again, she kind of skyrocketed once the stun was added to her ult from someone who we hardly got to see, I want to say, as often competitively to someone who is like up there. Pretty much if you don't get a Nara, then you want to grab Ashe, and it's probably something related to her health bar being as big as it is. So making her a little easy to kill, maybe a little safer for those victors in the back line who have an Ashe charging at them.
And also, like, you can just invest more points in heavy metal if you're
And
really
then you get
feeling
the
that
health
HP loss.
back.
Like, welcome to Paladins. There's a loadout card for that.
But speaking of loadout cards, well, this one's ability and loadout card, but Drogo's is going to be the one, and I actually think when I mentioned that earlier, the ability is the one that people are going to feel. It's more tangible with this.
I would say so. Absolutely. Yeah. Also, shout outs to AOC for this. AOC guided change. Also, Huga. He's bouncing a lot of kind of Drogo stuff off me. So thank you for that effort, my man. So this change is will mostly be felt in tandem with using the Propel card, specifically Propel 5. So what we've done is a little bit of a harken back to some of the Drogo's mobility of old, while being a little bit more fair with it. So the change itself is that players will be able to carry more momentum from their thrust into their booster shortly after using thrust to get that quotation marks skiing feel. Obviously, the more forward momentum you have, aka higher ranks of Propel, the more displacement you will see as a benefit of this. But the differences are pretty notable in terms of like the distance you could cover before versus the distance you'll cover now. So hopefully it's gonna see him more mobile, maybe a little bit more survivable as a byproduct of mobility. Just because the recent changes did see a decrease in his performance, he's still competitively viable. But this is mostly a feels thing and largely a community ask targeted thing.
Get the jetpack back to feeling, I guess, jetpackier. But in that result, you have to maybe invest more.
We'll add that to the notes.
That's a word I'm
Give it a
going to right
boost.
now. But
other change, right?
also making it a little bit easier, but you have to invest all those points in Propel 5.
Yes. And the other change, too, is the Decimate card for his loadout for the Salvo one. We hit his Salvo base radius pretty hard. So we felt that the cost you got, or the opportunity cost from investing into Decimate wasn't great enough. And now you can see a larger radius increase should you spend those points. Okay. Grok.
Next on the list. And this one was one very specific to kind of change that a card was making that wasn't accurately changing.
Yeah, this is arguably even kind of a polished quality of life thing. So Outreach, the card, it's a thing that modifies the radius of the healing totem. And not only was it scaling the radius weird, the VFX weren't lining up, but also the magnitude at which it was increasing it was numerically wrong in the description. So we've just unified all of that, and now scales properly, is the correct magnitude dictated on the card. So it should just be very clear of what's happening.
Making sure that everything that I guess is going, I'll take yours, rock out with your Grok out.
Yeah.
There we go. I got it right the second time.
Or you can make a surging with power joke also.
Surging with power, lightning. I have once he added flight, I made a picture of Bright Marsh that was ridiculous with lightning all around him. But it's going to be fun to see him. Of course, Grok's been, again, I think on the rise lately. And coming up right behind him, someone who's been essentially went from 0 to the
Hero?
top.
Zero.
It is Grover.
Evan. There's no
And
Evan. Okay.
the best thing about this is it's kind of a small change to bring him more in line.
It is small. Grover's getting his time in the sun. Yes, tree pun. And the crippled duration on crippling throw is going from 2 seconds to 1 second. We kind of were making this conversation earlier. It's like, you tell anyone the difference between like 2 seconds to 1 second, who's not familiar with the Paladins gameplay or meta, would be like, I mean, 1,000, 2 1,000. Like, that's your difference right there. That's a world of difference in Paladins. Like, so much can like, you can body someone real hard in that 2 seconds. And the efficacy he was seeing from this thing that could get a real low cooldown, he's just hucking these things and it's bouncing left and right. And he's kind of on top right now. So it's like, this is a utility reduction, so that, yeah, it's still going to serve the purpose that it did, but it's not going to be as effective as it.
Yeah, and it's going to make it maybe a little bit more difficult for him to like solo an Eevee who's trying to kill him down. Like, you can't just root her and then hit her with a couple of axes. It's going to make him, I think, more in line with where support.
Unless it's randoms Eevee. Randoms Eevee, you're still dead, dude. You're still dead. Yep.
And speaking of flanks, Koga, who got a pretty big hit from the last update to, I guess, the current update that is out. We're hitting him a little bit again, but this one's more to, I think what you said was to bring him in line with kind of
this
where
was
other
and
flanks
I want
were.
to this is largely, and the Mave changes later, hint hint, are a byproduct of a really well thought out comparison that community wrote up. Just is very polite, very critical kind of presentation of all these issues that the dev team kind of reviewed and enacted these changes because of it. So Koga's agility has a nigh infinite uptime potentially, depending on how you build him, and you can do all the things during it, and is also a magnitude at 50% speed.
Yeah.
Which compared to other flanks is like, that's a huge outlier. Like, why? So we're toning down the frequency of it. That's kind of a cool thing. The fact that you can do other things while in agility is kind of a unique thing.
Yeah.
But the fact that it was like a better stim, right, than the other ones that had to pay that cooldown cost, right, was a bit of the egregious thing. So it's going from 50% to 30%.
And that's just to bring him in line. And again, you mentioned, and this is not the next one, but a little bit later, like Mave, a couple of other flanks kind of being brought into.
And like we've hit Koga twice now, right? This is, we're probably not going to touch him. Like he's in a good spot. He's really a pleasure to watch. He's like in the kind of the pro scene, see all the strategies that revolve around
the
him.
Torvald Genos Koga combo.
Yes. It's like, if Koga dies, our strategy, we run.
We run. Just got to give it up. Yep. The next one that has been very, very big, though, and this is one that is big competitively as well, is Leon.
Sure.
And she's been coming around. And this is really to make it so that it's not, hey, let's just go Eminence. It's also to bring some other talents.
Yeah, Leon is doing really good right now. A lot of people are playing her. In Gen Pop, she's statistically balanced, but there's a problem in that the talent rework we did for her on Precision sucked. So, our bad. That's what the dev notes are on this, is our bad. But Precision just basically gave very little benefit at all compared to the other things. So we've increased these numbers, and I want to kind of like test drive this on the PTS. So give us some feedback, guys. Go play Leon in the PTS specifically with the Precision talent. Try to build some loadouts that revolve around it. We've got some early feedback from pro players too on this one. Hikate was testing her just yesterday too, giving his thoughts, and we got a couple ideas on it. So let me know what you think. Give it a test run.
I can only imagine with aim like Hikate, like consecutive shots being hit makes it very easy to get your maximum amount of precision damage. So that's going to be interesting.
It's a treat to watch that man play our game.
No, it's going to be fun. And now, because Leon comes alphabetically before Mave, we get to circle back the Koga reference to where Mave is. And this is a card change and then the prowl change, which I think is more related to what we were talking about earlier.
Absolutely. So Mave's Savagery card is going from an on-hit heal to an on-trigger heal. Really simple, and now it just makes it far more reliable of a health thing. And it's like, often you're using Pounce not as that finisher, right? You're using it as an escape. This change really facilitates that and gives it a lot of flexibility in terms of your loadout too, because this heal and combined with the DR afterwards, and then combined with the duration on Prowl increase going from 4 seconds to 5, which is the next change, and then she also has those healing cards during Prowl, the DR during Prowl, right? Trying to flex that little bit more of survivable muscle on the Mave build.
It's not as survivable as she was like about a year ago, but more survivable than she is now, being able to kind of ride that fine line of balance, I guess, which is always going to be what you're trying to. The next one, this is one. Last night I was reading these and I
Yeah, this one
audibly
is
gasped at this
kinda big.
because again, implications.
Yep.
It's like there's a change up here and it's like whatever, but the repercussions it brings to the realm, I think,
Love
is
that
what
word.
it will change.
Repercussions is so cool. Okay, so Pip, and this change actually kind of goes beyond
man
Pip.
himself.
Yep. This ability, so Evil Mojo. We're actually nerfing ourselves. Great. This ability no longer affects CC immune targets. So we in Paladins had some depth in our game that was kind of odd, in that we had CC immunity, superior CC immunity. Like, what?
There's a tier list of CCs.
Yeah, we're simplifying that. There's no longer like the top higher tier, right? Of like, okay, well, you're CC immune, but not superior CC immune. So this ability that is a superior CC can actually affect you when you're CC immune. No, what we're doing is there is only CCs and there's only CC immunity. So this will have some balance implications.
Yeah.
The Grok CC immunity totem,
Totemic
right?
Ward.
Totemic Ward.
Mother's Grace Inara.
Mother's Grace and Nara, like these are going to see some power spikes because now they're like they can't be polymorphed through it, and polymorph is really the only superior CC. However, things still may shift around. But in terms of understanding how to play Paladins and the mechanics of how it works, this is a leap forward in clarity.
I'm interested to see if Pip players now are going to have to, like, specifically, like, against an Anara or a Grok, if they're going to have to, like, okay, well, he has this cooldown, so now I know the totem's down, I can get the Evil Mojo.
Like play around the cooldown.
You have to, like, yeah,
instead of just like blasting the chickens out and being like, well,
hey,
too bad, so sad.
You're a chicken. Have fun.
Yep.
Now you're dead. You 1,500 health. Not a lot. And speaking of not a lot of health, but someone who was able to kill people with tons of health, Skye, and I believe this was an Assembly of Champions change that was
Yeah,
kind of
we were seeing a lot of feedback on the lethality of Debilitate Skye.
Yeah.
And our stance on it is that percent HP damage is a necessary check and balance in our game when we have front lines as powerful as they are.
Yeah.
However, the gross magnitude of the 30% damage increase in combination with the duration decrease of the dot was a little too much. So we're taking it from a 30% damage increase to a 25% damage increase. So 5%, which at higher HP levels means more. So you're going to have a little bit more breathing room as a front line now.
Yeah, and it's just going to make it a little easier. Ancient Rage Makoa is maybe not going to die the instant Skye looks at you. It's just going to be a couple seconds later if you are rushing her down. But that, I think, is going to be a change that's fun. And then the final flank on the list is Xin. And he actually has a few changes coming through. I actually didn't read through all of these, but it's a couple, a little bit to Billow, a little bit to Smolder, and a little bit to his hideout card.
Yeah, Zin's a bit of an odd case. He's a character that statistically overperforms a lot, but doesn't have that, like, large community voice of, like, bring this man down, right? Like, but we see these stats and it's like, okay, this has to be dealt with. So really, his egregious thing is just his survivability, right? Largely due to the efficacy of Billow. Our flanks are usually defined by being slightly more mobile than our damage characters, having a little bit more burst, and having discrete moments of intense survivability, whether it's Androxus Reversal, EV Ice Block, Moji Magic Barrier, right? Xin Billow. Xin has Billow plus counter too, right? So he double dips.
Yeah.
He double dips. But Billow was unlike any of those other cooldowns. Billow had a variable duration, depending on your loadout cards, and could be extended exceptionally long, a very long time, right? Whereas all the other flanks, it's like Magic Barrier lasts a static amount. Ice Block lasts up to a static amount, can be canceled early, and Reversal is a static duration, right? So the player knows, in terms of countering this guy when fighting it, how survivable that dude is for that duration. They can learn it. It's gameable. It's counterplayable.
Yeah.
Whereas Billow, how many times have you just been like chasing this Xin in Billow as he's healing to full? Like, I think this is a good. Oh, it's still lasting, and you're like, oh no. So what we're doing is we're going to standardize the duration of Billow. And change a couple other things because he had other things that affected Billow. So let's get into it. So duration is going from 2.5 second space to 1.5 second space, more in line with the other similar cooldowns. And movement speed bonus is going from 20% to 30%. So not as long, but you're moving a little bit faster. And you can modify that speed through cards as well. The internal lockout time after the ability ends, kind of that like recovery period, is being greatly reduced. So you should be active and lethal coming out of Billow far quicker, right? So we're giving and taking.
Yeah.
And then so the talent Smolder has actually had its healing increased to compensate for the fact that Billow's duration is now reduced. It's still the same values. It's just it had to be changed, so we have to document it.
Yeah.
And then cards, hideout. You're no longer going to be able to change the duration of Billow again. We want that to be a unified time, right?
Yeah.
So it's a learned thing. But what hideout's going to do now is that upon activation of Billow, it's going to reduce the cooldown of Whirl by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds, depending on scales. So, after a certain amount of point investment in that card, like, I'm going to have a Whirl available coming out of this sucker. So I can position myself for maybe some cool, like, shenanigans of like, I'm going over here, but then, I'm whirling over here. And then maybe I had the Whirl cooldown reset card, and I passed through and I set up I was super infallible in my immune state, and I positioned myself, so I'm going to hit all those people in a line and then reset my Whirl, right? So, some interesting things there.
And it's going to be fun because, again, with the movement speed increase on Billow as well, like, if you need to get out, you still have that capability to get out if you're going to run hideout at a high level.
Yep.
Or maybe you're trying to mix and match and you have some other thing, but that is balance. That's everything
balance,
that's coming
guys.
through.
Yes.
Then finally going to be something where you don't have to go and now. No way.